Entrepreneurs who refuse to learn from the disruptions of the past are doomed to be disrupted by the economic and technology changes of the future. Right now, AI is changing the world's economy. It is disrupting every single industry and ushering in a new economic age, the age of intelligence. And as we move from the information age into this new era of the economy, a clear gap is going to open up between the winners and the losers. The smartest entrepreneurs aren't just busy building AI agents, they're analyzing the past, they're looking at the trends of the future, and they're positioning themselves and their businesses to become one of the big winners of this change. In this video, we're going to be looking at the intelligence era, analyzing those past trends so you can then understand what has happened and what will happen. And we will talk to you about the agentic flywheel, a process you can kick off in your business that will make you grow so fast your competition can't keep up. We're going to zoom into the agricultural age, all the way back in the medieval periods, and look at the clear, powerful people in that economy and understand the ingredients that they were obsessed over that enable them to seize that power and become the winners of that age. If you look at this diagram here, we have capital, land, labor, and enterprise. These are the four constituent parts that we're going to be analyzing through each economic era. And in the agricultural age, it really was those who owned the land and had people to work the land. They were the winners. They were producing the consumable goods that everyone required to live. And if you had the land and you could get that land worked, you could raise bigger armies. You could take more land and dominate in a more comprehensive way. This is why we saw so many wars across medieval Europe and in the lead up to the Industrial Revolution. People were fighting over land and borders, trying to obtain more good farmland to drive their economic engines. As we look at history, we have to understand that economic change and disruption is speeding up. This period of the economy lasted for many hundreds of years until we reached a point where we were producing products and services that were complex enough to usher in the industrial era. This was a new change. We didn't now need huge amounts of farmland just to grow those commodities. We were actually producing machines and factories that allowed us to use specialized labor to create highly profitable, highly specialized goods. In this age, you needed the capital, the money, to be able to build the factories, buy in the machines, and build the towns and villages that surrounded your factory to house the specialized labor and pay them. If you had access to that capital, and this was long before modern financing institutions were really set up, you had the power in order to become someone who dominated in this economic era. The barriers to entry were high. And in each economic area that we are going through in humanity, we see the barriers to entry to becoming one of the winners of that economic disruption lowering and becoming easier to enter the game than ever before. That increases competition and in fact makes the game harder, but getting in and being someone who can win now isn't a status of birth. It is something about ambition and desire. So here, land was still important, but less so because we started to build vertically and build these highly productive factories. Labor was hugely important, but if you didn't have the capital, you did not have the means in order to put these together. And you needed a bit of an enterprising idea, but not really that much. As that trend continued, we entered the information age with the invention of the computer and the internet. And this is where we had huge companies like Google, Amazon, and Meta really come to the fore. People were able to leverage these ingredients to create generational wealth, to hit that unicorn status and have an exit that would pay for them and their generations to come. It wasn't so much about the land at this point in time. You could get an office space in a highly concentrated city that is surrounded by great talent. You could pull them in from all over the world through the internet if you were so inclined. You needed specialized labor. You needed those developers, the key marketers and salespeople, and you needed a big vision and mission to pull those people into your world. But you needed, most importantly of all, an enterprising idea. If you could find an angle, if you could find a painful problem to solve, you had the ability to pitch your vision and pull these resources that you need into existence so that you could go on this journey. Capital was important here. We have the invention of the modern financing institutions, and this is where we see the dramatic rise of the power of the VC investor, of the angel investor, people who could see great visions, spot people who could execute on those visions and fund them and breathe life into them. The information age is what me and you have likely grown up in. It's what we understand. It's how businesses have been operating for many decades now. But the game is changing. AI completely disrupts the power balance on this chart here, and therefore we're moving into this new economic era. Now we have entered the age of intelligence with the advent of large language models and building those into agents that can work in your business and actually do meaningful things in your business. We have solved some of the core constraints of the information age, and the playbooks change because of that. No longer is it so required to have large teams of developers, marketers, and salespeople. We can have fewer people, better people, concentrate our bets on the most incredible people we can afford and surround them with AI agents to accelerate their impact, to make them more productive, to make them more impactful within our businesses. The value of capital has fallen through the floor. There is a crisis going on in the world of VC investment as I speak today, because who needs to raise pre-seed investment anymore? Who needs to raise vast amounts of capital to get their MVP off the floor? Unless you are working in an incredibly hardware intensive area of the economy, you don't need to spend 6 to 9 months of your life pitching hundreds of VC investors, having the door slammed in your face and told no over again that your idea is stupid, no one wants it, and no one will buy it. You shouldn't seek the investment of VCs. You should seek the investment of your customers in the intelligence age. The tools have been created that give you the ability now to prototype your MVP over a week. You can spin up the landing page in seconds. You can work with AI to design the marketing playbook, the go-to-market strategy, and execute on that. You're still going to want to pull key people into your vision, but you can prototype a business quicker than ever before. And in the intelligence age, it isn't those with the most capital or the most labor or the most land that are going to be the winners. It is those with the most enterprising ideas, those who can seek out and find the burning hair problems, the things people are crying out for someone to solve. Pull a vision together, use AI-enhanced playbooks and AI-enhanced entrepreneurship principles to concept their idea, present it to the market, see what gets traction, back the winners and kill the losers. You don't need anyone's permission anymore. The barriers to entry have been lowered, but the competition is never greater than now. A lot of people ask me when I show them these charts, they say, Lee, okay, I get it. The intelligence era is here. How do I compete with an AI-enhanced business, with an entrepreneur who is AI first? And I kind of scratch my head at that and get confused, because it doesn't seem to me to be a logical question to ask. Let's do a bit of an experiment here in our minds. In this image I'm showing you, this is a typical illustration of an industrial era accountancy firm. They're using abacuses and manual entry bookkeeping with quills and ink. They're in dusty, dimly lit halls. It takes them days to tabulate the inputs and the outputs of the factories that they're trying to help produce more goods in a more profitable fashion. How does this company therefore compete with an information age accountancy business who has access to all of humanity's knowledge at the tips of their fingers for free, who has the ability to communicate with their customers and team members instantaneously around the globe for free day and night, who can open up their computer and access vast computational resources in the cloud, or open up Microsoft Excel and do thousands of calculations that would have taken the gentleman in this image days to do, and answer the queries of their customers in seconds, not weeks. The answer is these two businesses cannot be compared. They do not compete on the same plane of productivity. They are in completely different realms of being. And outside of some form of novelty, there is no way in 2025 that you would hire an industrial revolution era businesses that is using the practices and playbooks and technologies of that era. You would look at it and scratch your head, because it would seem very quaint. It would seem archaic. And what's going to happen is, as we move into the intelligence era, the exact same thing is going to happen to businesses that remain information age businesses. We are going to look back in 10 to 20 years, scratching our heads and thinking how archaic, how quaint that was, that we had a website that was one version of the website that everyone saw, that how we wrote one email and sent that to 10,000 people, hoping we might tickle some people's interest within that cohort, rather than writing 10,000 emails, highly personalized to every single one of those individuals, and interacting with them as individuals through our marketing, sales, and product delivery funnels. We're going to look at these vast office spaces with 200, 300, 400 people and wonder how entrepreneurs were ever okay with wasting that much money on salaries. So the answer is, you cannot compete with an intelligence age business. You must become an intelligence age business. Otherwise, you will be outwitted, outcompeted, and outworked. You have to kick off your agent flywheel. This is a process in which you start to build agents into your business, outsourcing some of the key tasks that prevent your best people from being their most impactful selves, and getting a return on investment, but using that ROI to pay for the next agent and the next agent and the next agent, kicking off this recursive exponential productivity growth. Ray Kurzweil is an incredible futurologist who wrote about the singularity. The singularity is this idea that we use AI to improve itself and improve itself again and again and again. And we reach this vertical point in the graph of capability where the human brain can no longer keep up with the innovation and the progress that is happening day in, day out in the world around them. This is going to happen to businesses with their levels of productivity. There are going to be the clear winners, those who have agents installed into their business, who have outsourced key specific tasks and have changed their business one agent at a time, versus those who stay stuck where they are, frozen in time, becoming an oddity, becoming a dusty old artifact that is outcompeted on every single level. Agentically enhanced businesses are going to squeeze more out of every 24 hours of work than their competitors who have no agents. It is going to get to the point where in a single day, these AI enhanced businesses are going to produce more than their competitors do in an entire quarter. So the playbook is clear for any entrepreneurs who want to get started and start this transformation to become an intelligence era business. You must identify the highest return on investment agents you can build in your business. And I'm going to give you a hint here. It's not the God models. It's not a single agent that replaces your whole support department or a single agent that does all of your sales. It's about speaking with those individuals in that department and seeing what prevents them from doing better and more work. Build small, laser-focused expert agents that control one part of a process. This, in 2025, is doable today. It is realistic. It isn't just a safe bet, it's the smart bet. When we see this 90% failure rate in AI initiatives, it is because businesses are thinking too big and trying to go too far. They've brought into the hype that AI is going to unemploy everyone in the next couple of years. I don't think it is. What it is going to do is it's going to accelerate the smartest businesses until they start to win market share from those who are too slow to get off the blocks. So you need to be starting to build AI today so that in 2026, your transformation is well underway and you're not just keeping up, you're out competing your competitors. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, YouTube thinks you will like these videos next.